Greg, if you could give us a little 1-2 on who you are, what you do now with Renters Warehouse, that'd be really helpful, and we'll get to the listener questions right after that.
Sure. I just sold my company to Renters Warehouse. My company was called Own America, and we were an online platform for real estate investors to acquire rental properties. We had a lot of big institutional clients. We still do, but we lacked the boots on the ground, blocking and tackling, hand-to-hand combat of property management. So we teamed up with Renters Warehouse in the form of them acquiring us and me going from being CEO of Own America to Chief Strategy Officer, which I really enjoy because it means most of the hard stuff is Kevin's responsibility and all the fun stuff is my responsibility.
That's right. No, I love that. Even if I was able to have that in my business, that would be so great. That'd be awesome.
And in a nutshell, what we're doing together, just so people understand, is that there is now going to be a national brand in the real estate business dedicated to real estate investors. So they've got branches in 42 cities that do property management. They are going to be doing investment sales and property management. So people will be able to go on the website, renterswarehouse.com, learn, play, plan, research, find properties they want to see, make contact with somebody in their town if they're in one of those 40 markets, make an appointment to sit down with somebody and talk about real estate investing and then go execute the plan. And Renters Warehouse, of course, can manage it for you for the next 30 years. And so it's a complete, full service, never been done before kind of thing, and we're super excited about it.
I love that 1-2 punch. You buy it, manage it, and move on to the next. I mean, you got to own America at some point in time. All righty.
Exactly.
Let's get to the listener question from Carrie from Indianapolis. It's a long question, so let's do our best to get through it here. Currently, I'm trying to get through my first investment property rented. I'm trying to get my first investment property rented, if I can read here. I've had a lot of interest, but most of the applicants who have made serious steps to apply have been real, well, quote, winners. I'm stuck at a bad time of the year.
Which means when winners is in quotes, I think it means losers.
it means absolute deadbeat losers. I'm stuck at a bad time of the year with a rental I need to get rented because I close on my next investment soon and need this property off my DTI, debt to income, to float 3 mortgages. The rental, my current home, turned live-in flip that will be a rental this summer, and a new live-in flip that I'm closing on in February and doing a lease back until the end of May. Wow, that's a mouthful. At what point...
I'm gonna decompress some of this in a second, so keep finishing up there.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this could be a novel too. So the question is, at what point do you just, quote, cheap sale, rent it? Do you have to have a threshold of how low you can go? Cost. Is there a cost plus certain percentage of dollar amount? Any and all advice is appreciated. Greg, I feel like we could take the entire show and unpack this.
I love this. Yeah, and we might take 2 segments. Yeah, so what she's asking here, she's got a rental property that she needs to rent, and she's had a hard time getting a quality tenant. She needs to rent it in all capitals because she has another deal that she's doing and another deal that she's doing. Now, when she refers to live and flip, what that means is you buy a house, you get a mortgage as an owner-occupant because you're going to live there, all right? But your plan is not to live there forever. In fact, her plan has been to buy the houses, live there while she fixes them up, and then flip them. But what she's talking about is a live and flip that actually doesn't get sold to a stranger, it becomes a rental. She moves out and rents it out. So it's a very cool strategy, right, in that you can get the best mortgages available, which are for owner-occupants, move into the property, so you're not committing any bank fraud. You're not saying it's an owner-occupant, but you're not going to live there. There's nothing in the mortgage application that says you have to live there for a long time. So if you buy a house, you live there, you fix it up. At the end of 4 or 6 months or whatever period of time, you sell the property. But in her case, she's going to rent it out and move on to the next one. So it's a really, really cool strategy. It fits in with this idea we've talked about of the snowball, where you go from property to property and you accumulate, utilizing your own personal need for a roof over your head. Meaning every person hearing our voices right now has an expense every month to cover the roof over their head. And if you can use that expense to actually fuel an investment strategy, you get the benefit of being able to basically use your own cost of housing as a way to own a property while you fix it up while you're living there. Mm-hmm. But here's the kicker. She finishes by asking, so before I go there, she can't get the first one rented for a profit. The reason is she has this machine in motion, okay? 2 different live and flips in place, right? Then her question is, should I give it away cheap? Should I rent it out cheap? Is there some threshold? Should I just go to cost, meaning should I rent it out for just what it costs me? And so I stop right there and I say, first of all, no, you're going too fast. Okay. If you find yourself in a situation where you've got 3 properties in play and the first one you're having trouble getting rented, that's a signal that your strategy is breaking down. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because if your first one's not going to be profitable, there's no reason why you should believe the second one's going to be profitable. All right. Like you haven't proven yet that you can take a property and rent it out and generate a profit. So I would say slow down.
Yeah.
Now, if you're already committed on these other things, then my first question is, what are you doing to market the rental? Okay. If you're only getting deadbeats showing up and you're not confident in them, I'd ask the question, what kind of house did you buy? Okay. Are you buying a house in neighborhoods that you're going to get people that don't have great credit? Okay. I was flippantly using the word deadbeat and loser because I was trying to be funny, but the truth is that's mean, right?
Yeah. No,
there are people that rent because they don't have the credit to buy and they have an unstable job situation. They need a place to live. And if you've got a house that attracts those people, maybe you got to be a little flexible in terms of who you bring in because that's what your marketing is attracting. But then I ask, what kind of marketing are you doing? Are you running an ad on Craigslist? Is that it? Okay. Are you putting a sign in front? Are you advertising it on Zillow? Are you putting it to a number of different places? Have you hired somebody locally to help you with it? Like if you're not getting enough traction where you don't feel like you have a high quality enough rental and you want the highest quality tenant you can get for the rental that you're renting out, right? Then crank up your marketing. Okay. If you don't have any money to do that, then you got to slow down because you're showing flaws in your plan. Right? Mm-hmm. If stuff is breaking down, you have to look at it and say, okay, my plan to build this portfolio of profitable real estate is falling off the cliff on the first one. Okay? So my advice would be, no, do the marketing better on your property and get the kind of rent that you need from somebody that you feel confident is going to pay the rent back. Do your tenant screening, but understand sometimes renters don't have good credit, so you can't disqualify somebody because they don't have good credit. Ask them for pay stubs. Okay, get to understand their ability to repay you. Okay. Secondly, if you can hit the pause button on one of these other flip and what'd you call them? What do they call them? Live and flip.
Live and flip.
Put pause on one of the live and flips if you can. Give yourself more time to germinate this thing.